Have you ever watched your own house fill with laughter while you stood outside, shivering, holding a suitcase no one invited you to bring? That night, the sky dumped cold rain on my shoulders as Christmas lights blurred behind foggy windows. Through the glass, I saw Connor and Grace, her parents, my own husband Jack, all clinking glasses, as if I'd never existed. It hadn't always been this way. But lately, every call went to voicemail. Every birthday faded into a group text, a thumbs up from my daughter, silence from my son. Even Karen, my best friend, started canceling lunch with soft excuses and colder eyes. The worst part? I'd just learned I have a genetic liver condition. The doctor said, "It's not infectious, but you'll need rest. Take it slow." When I told my family, nobody asked if I was okay. They just stopped coming around. Some even kept their distance, eyes wary, like my diagnosis was a secret curse. That night, Jack called as I stood alone on the porch. "Linda, I think it's time we separated. I'm moving out tomorrow. The bank knows." No apology. No reason. How does a woman become a stranger in her own home? That night I learned how quickly love can turn to exile. But in the quiet, I remembered. I still held every key, and storms always leave something behind. The days after Jack left blurred into gray. I called Connor, hoping for comfort. He answered with a quick, "Hey, Mom, can't talk. Grace's parents are moving in for a while. Let's catch up soon." Soon never came. Grace started calling me Linda instead of Mom. Her tone clipped and polite. Every time I visited, she'd wipe the counter after I touched it, eyes flicking to her parents as if searching for backup. Even the grandchildren stopped running to hug me. They'd cling to Grace's mother's legs, casting shy glances as if I'd turned into a ghost overnight. The worst was the silence. Birthdays passed with no cake. Just a thumbs-up emoji from Evelyn. Sunday dinners, once my pride, became in-law night. Grace's parents brought their own casseroles, replaced my lemon pie with store-bought desserts. Connor changed the locks, texting me, "Just being cautious. You know how the world is these days." When I reminded him I still had keys, he only replied, "Best for everyone, Mom." I sat on the motel bed, reading the message again and again, trying to find a trace of the boy who used to leave wildflowers on my pillow. Karen, my lifelong friend, drifted further each week. She canceled coffee, gave vague excuses, and when I saw her tagged at Grace's backyard barbecue, the smile on her face made something break inside me. Once, I overheard her at the grocery store. "Linda's always so dramatic. She'll bounce back, she always does." Those words echoed longer than I wanted to admit. The family group chat went quiet. No one asked about my doctor's visits. Not even when I sent a message. "Test results weren't great. Could use some company." Connor replied, "Rest up, Mom. Let us know if you need anything." But nobody came. Neighbors whispered. Some crossed the street to avoid me. It was as if my diagnosis had painted a red X on my door. Except nobody bothered to ask what kind of illness I really had. At night, I combed through my old papers, deeds, bank statements, a power of attorney. Jack once urged me to sign just in case. He always said he was protecting me. But now, the only thing I felt was unprotected, unseen. I started to wonder if I was being paranoid, until I found out Jack had moved his office into my old craft room, and Grace's parents were sleeping in my bed. What do you do when you become a stranger to your own life? Maybe that's when you find out what you're really made of. If you've ever been erased from your own story, share a line below. Sometimes the quietest stories need the loudest voices. Loneliness, I learned, is louder than grief. Each day in the motel felt longer than the last. The world outside kept moving. Inside, I was shrinking. I scrolled through photos of my family, all of them at Connor and Grace's house. There was no room for me, just for Grace's parents, who seemed to have absorbed every space I once filled. It was the little things that stung. A letter from Connor's lawyer, updating the family trust. A note in careful legalese, asking me to sign just for record-keeping. I read it 3 times before tucking it away. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from the realization that my own children had become strangers. When my doctor called with test results, the news was vague. Hereditary but manageable, not contagious. But rest is important. I texted the group chat. Doctors want me to slow down for a while, feeling scared. No reply for hours. At sunset, Evelyn sent a heart emoji. Connor messaged, "Don't stress, Mom. Rest up." Jack didn't respond at all. Desperate, I dialed Karen. She answered on the 3rd ring, voice tired. "I've been meaning to call, Linda. It's just... life's crazy. Jack's been reaching out a lot about legal stuff. He said you're not cooperating?" Something about her tone stung. Was it worry? Or something else? "I just need a friend, Karen. That's all." She paused, then offered, "Maybe you should sign whatever they ask. Just for peace. Everyone's under pressure." I hung up, a pit forming in my stomach. For the first time, I wondered if I'd ever really known Karen. Days blurred into nights. I watched from my motel window as the town rolled into spring. The quilting circle at church caught my eye, women laughing, their hands moving in rhythm. I hovered by the doorway, hesitant. Marie, the group's leader, beckoned me over. "You look like you could use some company." For the first time in months, I sat among women who saw past my illness and my grief. Their stories echoed mine. Husbands who left, children who forgot, friends who turned cold. Stitch by stitch, I let myself be sewn back into the world. But the betrayals didn't stop. One afternoon, Connor called. "Grace's parents want to invest in the house. Can you sign the papers to make it easier for everyone?" The next morning, Jack emailed a document, an urgent request to transfer ownership of my remaining accounts, for tax purposes. I stared at the screen, remembering all the times I'd trusted these voices, all the times I'd believed family was forever. Then came the breaking point. I heard from Marie that Karen had been at Grace's house, meeting with Jack. She'd left her scarf behind, and Grace's mother commented how close Karen and Jack seemed these days. That evening, I walked past a cafe and saw them, Karen and Jack, heads together, laughing in a way I hadn't seen from him in years. My world tilted. Was this why Karen urged me to cooperate? Why she vanished just when I needed her most? I returned to the motel, shaking, everything inside me raw and uncertain. For hours I lay awake, playing every memory back. Had I missed the signs? Was I ever anything but a stepping stone to these people? The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called a lawyer, Denise, and said, "I need help. Quietly, step by step." Denise didn't ask questions. She walked me through every account, every asset. With every signature, I reclaimed a piece of myself. I moved my savings, changed my will, hid the deeds in a safety deposit box. I left nothing to chance. At the quilting group, I stitched in silence, absorbing every story of survival, every laugh, every hug. For the first time, I realized I wasn't truly alone. But that night, staring at the ceiling, I knew the worst wasn't over. There were secrets still lurking. If you've ever discovered betrayal from the person you trusted most, you know healing starts the moment you stop asking why and start taking back your life. Because sometimes, the keys you keep are the only ones that open the door to freedom. The seasons drifted past the motel window. First spring, then summer, then winter again. I marked time by the hum of sewing machines at the church quilting circle, and by the way my phone grew quieter each month. Healing, I learned, is a stubborn, slow thing. At first, I barely spoke at the quilting group. I stitched in silence, watching Marie and the others laugh about their grown children, their old regrets. My hands moved automatically, thread through fabric, sorrow through memory. But bit by bit, I stitched my way into their stories. When Marie asked how I was, I told the truth. The room didn't flinch. I realized this was a place where scars were shown, not hidden. Outside, the world had moved on. Jack emptied the last of our joint accounts and sent a quick, "Good luck, Linda," by text. Grace's parents posted Facebook photos of family movie night in the living room I once decorated. Evelyn's updates grew rare, short, polite, never personal. But I noticed something strange. Karen showed up one evening at the quilting group, sitting across from me, her smile tight. She seemed nervous, fumbling her scissors, glancing at her phone. During break, Marie pulled me aside. "You two seemed close. Everything all right?" I shrugged, feeling a chill. People change. A week later, I received an official-looking envelope. Jack had filed for divorce, demanding his share of the house, plus savings he claimed I'd mismanaged. My hands didn't shake this time. Instead, I called Denise, my lawyer. We met in a quiet office, the air thick with old files and determination. "Don't respond in anger," Denise advised. "Let's move everything quietly, step by step. They assume you're weak. That's our greatest strength." Together we reviewed every deed, account, and beneficiary. Jack, in his rush to move on, had missed more paperwork than he'd realized. My name remained on almost every key document. Denise helped me secure everything. Deeds in a safe deposit box. New accounts in my name only. Passwords changed. I started keeping a healing ledger. Not just legal wins, but small moments of self-worth. The day I turned off my phone and spent it walking by the river. The first time I laughed, really laughed, in Marie's kitchen. The morning I realized my hair, once gray and limp, had started to shine again. 3 years passed this way. Each holiday was a bruise that faded slower than the last. But it did fade. The quilting group became my lifeline, each member sharing a piece of her past. Pain and recovery mingled together. Our group grew. Denise joined, bringing another woman from her office. Marie's niece came after her own divorce. Together we became a patchwork family, chosen, not born. But the past never vanished. Jack and Connor sent emails, sometimes demanding, sometimes pleading. Grace's parents offered to buy me out of my own home. Evelyn stopped by once, eyes darting, as if worried someone might see her talking to me. Karen, meanwhile, became erratic, sometimes supportive, sometimes distant. She offered to help mediate between me and Jack, but her suggestions always benefited him more than me. I started to keep my answers short, my trust locked away. One night, after group, Marie whispered, "I heard Karen was seen at Jack's new place. Are they, I shook my head, my chest tightening. No, she'd tell me. She's my friend. But even as I said it, I felt the crack widen. With Denise's help, I updated my will, changed every beneficiary. No one outside the group knew the details. Except, perhaps, Karen. I watched her carefully, remembering every helpful suggestion she'd made. Still, I clung to my progress. On the 3rd anniversary of leaving home, the quilting circle threw me a celebration. No speeches, just warm soup and laughter. They gifted me a key-shaped pendant engraved, "To New Beginnings." It sparkled against my skin, a silent promise. Every key, every deed, every new bond was mine, earned, not inherited. If you've ever rebuilt your life one scar at a time, you know, healing isn't about who left you, but about who stays. But as winter fell again, I realized some scars would need to be ripped open before they could heal for good. Year 3 began with a letter. Jack, backed by Grace's parents and Connor, filed a legal motion demanding his share of the house and accounts. The words felt clinical, but the intent was sharp. Connor left a message, voice tight. "Mom, just sign what they need. Let's make this easy. We're family. It doesn't have to be ugly." I stared at my phone, my thumb hovering over call back. But all I heard was Marie's advice echoing, "You owe them nothing except the truth." With Denise by my side, I entered the legal fray. In court, Jack's lawyer painted a picture of a spiteful wife, hoarding assets out of bitterness. Denise calmly laid out the facts. Years of abandonment, records of Jack's withdrawals, documentation of my diagnosis, testimony from Marie, and quilting friends about my isolations and family's neglect. For every accusation, Denise answered with receipts. For every tear Jack faked, Denise showed a transfer slip or a time-stamped voicemail left unanswered. The judge listened, silent. Jack's lawyer tried one last tactic. "Linda's friend Karen can confirm she was erratic, unreliable, unstable." My stomach twisted. I looked at Karen, called to the stand. She shifted, eyes darting, her words careful, her voice strangely hollow. "She's had a hard time, yes. But Linda's always been strong. Maybe stronger than anyone realized." A ripple moved through the room. I felt something inside Karen break, an apology in her gaze. But not yet the truth. That afternoon, Marie hugged me outside the courthouse. "You're winning, not just here, in here." She placed her hand on my heart, but the fight wasn't over. Grace's parents called, masked as concern, really a plea. "If you just let go, Linda, the family could heal. Don't you miss us?" For the first time, I said no. I miss what we were, but I can't go back to who I was. Connor tried again, this time at my door. He brought a box of my old things, pretending it was an olive branch, but his eyes drifted to the key pendant at my neck. "Is it really worth all this, Mom? Money, property?" I sighed. "It's never been about the house, Connor. It's about respect, about knowing I matter. As the legal proceedings dragged on, the quilting group became my sanctuary. Marie and Denise hosted dinners. The group grew. Women from all over town came with stories of abandonment, betrayal, survival. At night, I'd trace the lines of my healing ledger, reminding myself how far I'd come. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger loomed. Karen was restless, showing up at court, then vanishing for weeks. Her texts grew cryptic. "Let's talk soon. There's more you should know." I caught her one evening in the church parking lot, staring at her phone. "Are you okay?" She looked up, eyes shining with unshed tears. "Linda, I made mistakes, but some things, they weren't my choice." A cold wind cut between us. I realized Karen's story wasn't finished. Maybe neither was mine. When the judge's ruling came, it was clear. Assets and house remained with me. Jack's petition denied. Jack stormed out. Connor and Grace retreated, embarrassed, angry. Karen lingered in the hallway, wanting to speak but never quite crossing the distance. At home, I held the key pendant, feeling the weight of every battle, every small victory. Marie sent flowers. Denise dropped off a bottle of wine, and my patchwork family gathered for soup and stories. For the first time, laughter filled my kitchen, not forced, not borrowed, but built from the ground up. Still, the air felt heavy with unsaid words. Some secrets, I sensed, were about to surface. If you've ever fought for what's rightfully yours, share your story. Sometimes justice comes quietly. Sometimes it's the start of something bigger. Some betrayals shatter quietly, like a pane of glass, invisible until it breaks. Weeks after the court victory, life should have settled. My kitchen hummed with quilting group laughter. My healing ledger grew longer with small joys, dinners, late-night talks, Denise's off-key singing. But beneath the peace, something knotted tighter by the day. Karen became a ghost in her own skin. She avoided the group, missed calls, sent only vague texts. "We need to talk, but I'm not ready yet." Marie pulled me aside. "Linda, you trust her, right?" I wanted to. "She's made mistakes. We all have." Marie looked uneasy. "Just be careful." Then one gray morning, Evelyn stopped by. She'd been distant since the trial, but today her eyes were red. She handed me an envelope, lips pressed thin. It was in Dad's car. "I think you should see it." Inside were emails, hundreds, between Jack and Karen. Not just old friends venting, but lovers plotting. Karen had comforted Jack as our marriage fell apart, helped him navigate the legal maze, sometimes even ghostwriting his requests for my signature. Worst of all, a thread marked Linda's diagnosis. "Karen, don't worry, she thinks we're just looking out for her. She trusts me. I'll make sure she signs." Jack, you're my angel. Once it's over, we'll have everything. My hands shook so hard the paper rattled. I felt my years, every betrayal, every loneliness, pool in my chest like ice. Memories tumbled out in flashes. Karen's support during my cancer scare, her sudden distance, her awkwardness at quilting group, the way she'd urge me to just sign for peace. I wanted to scream. Instead, I just sat there, breathless, while Evelyn's hand found mine. For days, I did nothing. I stitched. I walked by the river. I let grief move through me like a storm. But grief, I learned, is fuel. At the next quilting circle, I read the emails aloud. Denise's face hardened. Marie's eyes filled with tears. The group closed ranks around me. Karen didn't show. Word got around fast. She'd packed up and left town. Jack, desperate after losing in court, tried to call. I let the phone ring. He emailed. "Karen's gone. I made mistakes, Linda. But you didn't have to destroy everything." I replied for the first time, not with anger, but with truth. "I didn't destroy anything, Jack. You did, and you did it with help." Connor heard about the scandal. He came to me, guilt written in every line. "Mom, I didn't know. I'm sorry." I hugged him. "It's time to start being honest, Connor. With me and with yourself." The quilting group held me up through it all. Marie cooked for days. Denise brought flowers. Evelyn, my daughter, once lost, sat by my side, her children climbing into my lap as if no time had passed. For the first time, I felt closure not just with Jack and Karen, but with the woman I'd been, so willing to shrink for others' comfort. No more. At our next group gathering, Marie presented me with a new quilt, each square signed by a woman I'd helped. In the center, stitched in bright red, "Every key you hold is yours by right." I wore the pendant with pride. Let the laughter fill my house. Not every story ends with a perfect family, but mine, at last, was honest. Some scars never fade. But sometimes the story behind them makes you stronger than you ever thought you could be. If you've ever survived the truth, tell your story below. Healing begins with honesty, and sometimes with letting go of the ones who never truly held you. For a while I thought closure meant an ending, but life, I've learned, has its own ideas about where stories turn. It started with a desperate knock on my door one rainy night. Connor, soaked and shaking, stood on my porch, just as I once had outside his. He looked broken, his shoulders bent under the weight of regret. "Grace's parents kicked me out, Mom. I lost my job. She changed the locks, said it was for the kids' safety. I don't know what to do. I have nowhere to go." The echo of my own pain was almost too much. He wept, not for money, not for comfort, but for a chance to be heard. "I never understood how alone you felt, Mom. I'm sorry. I thought I was different from Dad, but now I see it. I did the same thing to you." I let him in. We talked through the night about boundaries, betrayal, the choices we wish we could undo. For the first time, I set clear terms. You can stay, but you build your life from here, not through me. I'll guide you, but I won't carry you. If you want to break this cycle, you have to start with truth. As Connor slept on the sofa, I sat at my kitchen table, turning my key pendant over in my hands. For years, I'd clung to forgiveness as weakness. Now, I saw it as a gift I could give, with limits. The next day, our quilting group met as usual. The circle had grown. Stories, laughter, and scars now filled every chair. As we packed up, Marie greeted a newcomer, a young woman with tired eyes and a shy smile. "This is Anna. She's new in town, just left a bad marriage, lost her mom last year." Anna handed me a small worn envelope. "I found this in my mother's things. She always said she had a friend here who changed her life. I think it's you." I opened the envelope. Inside, a faded letter in my own mother's handwriting addressed, "To Linda, or whoever needs hope next." It read, "We are the sum of what we survive. Never believe scars are shameful. They are road maps for the lost. If you can, help the next one find her way home." For a moment, I couldn't speak. Anna looked at me with that same hunger for hope I'd seen in my own eyes years ago. As the group gathered around, I realized my story wasn't finished. My healing had become a path for others. Connor joined us, still fragile, but beginning to see that rebuilding doesn't mean starting over alone. That night, as rain pattered against the window, I closed my eyes, listening to the muffled sounds of new laughter, new tears, new beginnings under my roof. And for the first time, I understood. Breaking the cycle isn't just about refusing to pass on pain. It's about lighting the way out for those who follow. Just before midnight, Anna texted me, "Thank you for not turning me away." And Connor, quietly from the sofa, whispered, "Thank you for letting me come home, Mom." If you've ever stood at the edge of forgiveness, afraid to break the old pattern, know this: you're not just healing for yourself. You're making the road safer for the next person, too. There's a quiet awe in seeing your scars become someone else's roadmap. Life, for once, is not a closed circle. It's a widening spiral. Every healing step rippling out beyond yourself. The apartment is full again, but with new purpose. Connor, rebuilding piece by piece, no longer avoids the truth, but faces it. Sometimes awkward, sometimes brave, always honest. Evelyn brings her children, laughter ringing out on Saturday mornings. She helps Anna settle into the neighborhood, passing along recipes and quiet encouragement. Anna, the newest member of our quilting group, becomes both student and teacher. She stitches her story into the quilt, learning, slowly, bravely, that family is not defined by who hurts you, but by who helps you heal. Sometimes I catch her reading my mother's old letter, tears in her eyes. One afternoon she says, "You saved me without even knowing me. Isn't that what mothers do?" The circle grows. Marie brings in a friend from church. Denise helps another woman secure her own legal freedom. Every meeting, new stories thread into the tapestry on my wall. We celebrate not survival, but transformation. At our annual potluck, I share the key pendant, passing it around so every woman feels its weight and meaning. Connor, once the child who pushed me out, now helps Anna fix a leaky sink. Evelyn drives the group to a community event. I see in their eyes something I once lost. Hope returned, but earned. One evening, I reread the letter Anna's mother left, and my mother's words. "We are the sum of what we survive. If you can, help the next one find her way home." I finally understand. Healing is not about erasing the past, but about using it to guide the lost toward tomorrow. The nest isn't empty anymore. It's full of stories, second chances, and the fierce, quiet strength of women who refuse to disappear. So if you're reading this, maybe you're Anna, or Connor, or the next soul standing at the threshold of forgiveness. Remember, scars aren't the end. They're the beginning of a new story, for you, and for those you'll help heal. If this story touched you, share your own journey below. Tell us, whose hand did you hold when you needed to break the cycle? Your story might be the light someone else is waiting for. And as for the keys, Some doors we open not just for ourselves, but for everyone still searching for home.